Hello everyone and welcome to our webinar on this wonderful Wednesday afternoon. Today we will be doing a bit of a recap of our expo last week at Intersolar. You've probably seen a little bit about it. That's why you're here. My name's Ciaran. I'm working in our technical sales department and I'm joined with me by Ronny. Ronny, maybe you could introduce yourself as well a little bit.
I'm Ronny. I'm also working in the technical sales department as a technical sales trainer.
Perfect. So Ronny knows how to present all of these products, and we will do so hopefully quite well for you all. We're going to jump around a little bit today between some physical products, which I think you might be able to see on the far side of the screen. We have a presentation that will be shared with you, and we're also going to show some of the products that were actually on the Intersolar at the Intersolar, which you'll see in a little while. Before we get into that, though, if you have any questions throughout the day, we would love to hear them or read them. And the best way to do this is in the Q&A button down the bottom of your Zoom screen. So somewhere down here, you'll have a Q&A button. If your Zoom is in a different language, it will be maybe different letters. But here we see the direct questions and can answer them directly. And it just makes it a little bit easier for everyone who's attending today, rather than scrolling up and down through the chat, being like, which question did that one ask or whatever, we can answer them directly. So I think that's probably all for the admin side of today. This recording is available on YouTube as well, so you don't really need to have it sent out or anything, but you will again then have access to it in the future as well. So I think we're going to get started on we're going to start with our GreenRoof Vento 2.0, and to do that we're actually going, sorry Ronny?
The Vento falls out.
The GreenRoof 2.0, which is the latest or new addition, I guess, to our flat roof portfolio, and it's the second iteration of our GreenRoof Vento, which I have put in the first name before, so it's just the GreenRoof 2.0. But to do that, we thought it would be the best way to show it to you from the expo itself. So if you give me a moment, I'll be right back. Thanks, Ciaran. I'm standing here in front of the K2 GreenRoof 2.0 on day 2 of Intersolar, and what I wanted to show you was some of the differences between the GreenRoof 2.0 and our old GreenRoof Vento. So if you know the system before, you'll know that there was a beam that was running down here and then also a diagonal brace across the system. What we've done with the 2.0 is effectively got rid of all of these components which aren't really necessary anymore, and what you'll get as a system overall will be the clamps, right? Our single rail, so here we have the single rail 50, but it could also be the single rail 36. Then you have one pre-assembled component, which is the leg, and that includes the climber, this plate here, this leg, and the 2 L brackets on the side, right? So they are already tightened, right? This is already set, and all you need to do is then have the MK2s, which is just using our MK2 channel and our basic rail, right? And as per the old GreenRoof Vento, we're just going to screw into these PE plates, and we might even be able to get a picture of the screw there as well. And then this system is being weighed down or ballasted down by the existing roof soil that's on top, and in this case you see a really nice, looks a bit like a terrarium that you've put on top, or that we've put on top, and allows enough space and light for the plants to grow underneath. So in comparison to the old system, there are a lot less components. As we said before, it's just rail, leg, rail, more or less. The legs that we have come in 2 lengths, so as our front leg, which is always going to be the same, and on the back we have then 2 options. One will create a module slope of 10 degrees, and then the other one will create a module slope of 15 degrees. So depending on the 10 or the 15 degrees option, you'll get a different back leg. The system that you see here is planned in a sort of a portrait setup, and we have only one, but they can be done both sides, so whether that be what we call an A shape or a V shape, or a butterfly shape, but you can also do it single-sided as well. You can also do the rails in the other direction, so a landscape setup, and we're going to be using the add-on for that, which we'll have back in the office. So this is, I think, we wanted to show that today because of the plant life underneath, and it's just a really good representation of the the volume of material that is underneath the panels usually, and why this system might be preferable in terms of, or in comparison to some of the dome systems. So, yeah, this is the K2 GreenRoof 2.0. Back to you, Ciaran. There I am. Sorry, Ronny, we have some of the finer details of that points on the presentation, I think. So maybe just to recap the specific parts in terms of the products and the usage case of it, maybe we could jump to the presentation and go through, through that?
Yeah.
Sounds good.
So, first chapter of our webinar today will be the innovations in the flat roof. In flat roof, and we've already seen the video of the GreenRoof 2.0. Here are another couple of facts. Like the GreenRoof Vento, the GreenRoof 2.02 is available in three shapes, three orientations: the A shape, the S shape, and the V shape, which is, I would say, the most popular. The clamping is always on the long side, so other than the GreenRoof Vento, where you had clamping on the short side of the module when you had a landscape orientation, the GreenRoof 2.0 also you have a clamping on the long side even when you have a landscape orientation of the module, and we achieve that by using the add-on and the XS clamp. Maybe Ciaran, you can also show these clamps. I think they will appear by the end of the presentation, but maybe we can just pull that a little bit to the top. Okay. So
yeah. So the add-on is a product that we've had for actually quite a few years now. Sorry, I'll just put it on the table so we can have a look at it. It used to be a version in plastic, a black plastic, and so if you know K2, you'll know it from before. This is the updated version. It's in it's made out of also aluminium. It's got the K2 stamp on it, and in comparison to the old one, we can put the part on and slide it over the clamp. So if you did use the old product, you know you had to pull apart clamps and put them together, but this one you do not have that. So this is the major advantage of this. And the reason we have this product, we'll take this back off, is our clamps usually sit like this, and we have two sides of the rail to support it from below. The top part of the clamp tightens it from above. But if we were to turn it, which we have done here, the thickness of this rail is not wide enough to support the panel. Right? We need a larger base. So it's not a huge amount, but we're extending it by a couple of mils on both sides.
Maybe can you turn around the rail that we see the
like this
larger? Yeah, exactly. That we see how wider the area gets.
Yeah. So we, instead of having just this tiny the little edge, we're just taking it out a couple of mil on both sides, and this is now enough that the panels will sit right up against here and be clamped from above and have a flat point from below. And if we have a middle clamp, it's much the same, or if it's the end clamp and it's facing the other way, it's the same setup. So this is one of the products which is relatively new and also being utilized on this system.
Yeah, and in the GreenRoof Vento, you need only the end clamps, which Ciaran just showed, and not the middle clamps. But the middle clamps can be used in other situations together with the add-on. So let's jump to the next system, the next innovation, which is the D-Dome 6.7 Classic Portrait. You might know that Dome 6 is the sixth generation of K2 of flat roof system, and the number behind the point always says what's the module inclination. So in this case, it's not 10 or 15 degrees, as like our other systems have, but 7 degrees. And why is that? Why only 7 degrees? Well, this is the first system, the first dome system where we have a portrait orientation of the modules. Many customers asked for that in the past, and it has also mainly one big advantage. That's when you use the very large modules. When I say very large modules, I mean 2 meters length or even much more. With the landscape, the normal dome systems, you always had to use the LS version, where you needed way more rail meters, so maybe 40% more rails than the normal clamping. So here we also have the rail running along the side of the modules, but in this case, it's the long side and not the short side. And so we have a better clamping point, which allows you also to use more module types. Yeah, 7 degrees. Why 7 degrees now? That was the question. If you have a portrait orientation of the module, of course, the top point of the module would be further away from the roof surface, from the roof edge, and therefore the system would need much more ballast. And that's why we decided to have a little smaller inclination, and then the ballast stays in a better area, in a better range. So, Ciaran, what details can you tell us about the components of the system?
Thanks, Ronny. So I've got just two cross sections of here, and these are a little closer together than what they would usually be, but the products themselves are the products. So the channel at the very top is the same channel we use for our other dome products. All of the Dome 6 range is using the same dome channel, so our dome clamps slide into that. And what's new then is the two peaks. So usually we have our peak and our SD. In this case, they kind of both represent peaks because they're a little bit higher, but we'll refer to them still as a peak on the high end and an SD on the low end. And they're a little bit different compared to the 6.10 or the 6.15. And I have, just as a comparison, so this is our 6.10 point, and you can see it's a lot smaller. And you might be thinking, well, if this is the one for 10 degrees, how is this the one for 7 degrees? And it's because this lower end is also much higher, right? And because we are using the larger panels here, or we've designed it for the larger panels, we need this higher distance on the low end because our panels are going to end way, just keep going all the way to the very end, more or less. So we do have a little bit of a distance that we want to keep between the panel and the rail, obviously, for ventilation, for fire safety as well, and just generally working around. So there will be some limit on that, but we just do need to raise the whole panels up a little bit. And as Ronny was saying, we keep it a little flatter. What is also new is our rail itself. Right, so for the larger panels, what we're expecting to get is more load per meter. Also because we're doing a shared rail, so the panels are going to sit here. In this case, we've got an end clamp, but if we had a middle clamp, we have the two panels. So the larger panels plus this setup with the two sides means that the loads on this point, therefore the loads on this point, and the loads on the rail themselves are going to be larger than a standard Dome 6.10 system. And so you'll see here as well that the rails are a little bit different. So we have, what I'm holding is the basic rail 22, which is a sort of our standard basic rail product, flat roofs, trapezoidal roofs. It's got a number of uses. We sometimes even put it on facades or bespoke solutions. So this one isn't suitable for the Dome Portrait. And so we have a new rail, which is our basic rail 36. As the name suggests, 36 means something, and that's the height of this. And so it's a little bit bigger, it's a little bit thicker and a little bit stronger, and allows us to put the panels in this way. So some of the highlights that Ronny mentioned were that now we have these larger panels and we don't have to do cross bracing. And so what we would usually see in the past was if we had a large panel, we would have to do the Dome LS, the long side clamping, which then has 2 rails per panel plus a cross bracing layer. So compared to a shared rail, like what you see here, we would have an excess of material. So standard setup would be a one panel as I have here, and the panel extending kind of down towards the ground. It is also possible as well, though, as with our other dome systems, where we can spin the clamps around and we actually put them back into landscape. But if we are going to do that, then we will need this cross bracing layer as well. So the opportunity is there, but it's just depending on the project and the setup of how you would like to set the panels up. I think probably the one other, or some of the other points in relevance to the Dome 6, so it is plannable with anchors. It's not in the software yet. So if you do have a request or are interested in a project like this, then please send us an email and we can plan it internally. I think we'll put the email up now. It'll be service@k2systems.de. And the one other point as well, so in the picture you probably noticed it, but the panels, if we're doing the D-dome, are a little bit different. Instead of being like a sort of an A form, we're actually going to put them more of like a butterfly form or a V shape. And so we've done with our wind analysis some tests, and the ballast is more or less the same. But what you do get is much easier access to the cable management and working underneath. And the products are really the same. It's just, are we putting our close ends together at the top, or are we putting the close ends together down the bottom? And that's, something that I think is pretty straightforward. So Ronny, we've also got some photos of how it is set up at the presentation, at the expo last week, and maybe we can have a quick look of how that is.
Yeah, so here again we see the details, the higher rail, which is not an innovation, by the way. It has been sold. No, it was a product a couple of years ago, but then we did not have any more need for it, and it was not available for a couple of years, and now it is available again for this new purpose. The quite big SD, which is almost as high as the peak 10 degrees, and here very long peak, and here the whole setup. So let's jump to the next innovation, which is not really an innovation, but I have to mention it anyway. We've presented it this year, but we also presented it a year ago. It's the D-Dome 6.10 Express LS. So this is an express system with a clamping on the long side. And together with the 6.10 Express LS last year, we also presented a new rail connector for this and also for all the other express systems. It takes some time, and Ciaran will show you the details. So it was not available until now, and we made some exchanges from the first version. the big advantage is you don't need 7 items as it was for the old express rail connector. It's a pre-assembled connector, only one item without any tools. Yes, Ciaran, please.
Thanks, Ronny. So I've got 2 of them here, and you might actually notice it as my microphone. So I thought they were the microphones before someone told me that they're actually a product that we can sell. And I was, oh, this is funky. But what's new about it is, as Ronny said, it's one piece. Right. What's also really good is that the electrical potential bonding is incorporated into the bottom as well. So with this, if you did use the Dome 6 Express system before, you know that it would come with 2 split pins, a piece of metal, and if you wanted to then also add the the equipotential bonding, this was a 3rd or 4th teragriff as well. So all of it is incorporated into the product itself. What is also a little bit different and important to know that the rails in the base sets, the base rails, I should say, have also been changed a little bit to include the 2 holes which align with the little clamps, which if we can maybe, sorry, how am I going to show this? Yeah, so those 2 clamps on the side are going to fit into these holes, right? So this is not our standard long 4.5 meter rails, or 4.4, sorry, 5.95 meter rails. These are just for the pre-assembled versions. They come with these holes. And so the installation is, we can pull up the top, slide in, and it's going to sit in the, you can see, sorry, have I gone too far? Oh, this is like every webinar, I think we always do. The can slide in, and it'll click, and it'll catch, and on the bottom, it's just going to hold into the little points that are there. And so these rail connectors would not work with the old base rail sets, but if you are ordering these, you will get you'll either through our commercial team or through our technical team, you will get the correct base rail sets for the Express, and so you're cutting down on a number of components and can have all of it done there as well. Ronny, I just need maybe some clarification. This is also with lightning protection included as well?
Yeah, this one is also with lightning protection.
Yeah, okay. So this is a much bigger other topic, which we won't go into too much as well. But if you are incorporating lightning protection into your PV system, previously you were unable to use our rails and rail connector as current carrying, but with this product you can now do that as well. So it's not only equipotential bonding and connection, but it is also lightning and
current carrying capability.
Yeah,
it's so complicated. Maybe we can quickly show the end of the old express rail. Klaus, if you can zoom in to the end of the rail, yeah, there you see a hole in the side. This is for the old rail connector, and the 2 holes in the base of the rail are for the new rail connector, and there will be a overlapping phase. There will be a phase where the rails for the Express will have both, so you can use the old and the new rail connector in case you still have some in stock or your wholesalers still have them.
Yeah. Okay. Good to know for everybody. So I think then for our flat roof, this is all that we are presenting today, Ronny, or correct me if I'm wrong there.
Yeah, we have 2 pictures of the exhibition where we can see the same thing which we just showed. We have the holes in the side of the rail, and of course there are also the holes in the base. Yeah, but that's mainly it. And the next topic would be.
So then next, before we go to our pitched roofs, we're going to talk about our first of 2
differences, I guess, in the way that K2 is looking to expand our portfolio. So our flat roofs and our pitched roofs are always I would say, or have been always our staple product. And these are for rooftops, small scale, maybe commercial scale. But we're also now looking to get into larger scale projects and involving ourselves in different ways. So large scale ground mounted and large scale carports. And we actually have presented both of them at the expo as well. So if you give me a moment, I'll take my microphone this time and I'll jump back to Munich.
Thanks, Ciaran. I'm going to show you here the Pyrack. So this is our new product for larger ground-mounted systems. And when I'm saying larger, we're talking over 2 megawatts. All of our products are here going to be steel. We have ram posts. Right, so these are a single piece of material rammed into the ground. They'll come at a specific length based on the soil that you might have, or the geotechnical report that you'll have, and the wind and the snow that you'll have. The angle of the steel is all produced specifically for the project as well. Because it's such a large project, the material will all be produced project per project. But some of the other key features is how they're going to be installed. So you'll see here it's also quite high, and the panel installation is actually from underneath. The clamps are underneath the rail rather on top, and so these are a little different to what we would usually experience with our rooftop products. And with this specific version, it's a little different to the carport, which we will also talk about. We can hit this with a rubber hammer, a rubber mallet more so, and it's going to stop the panel but also from sliding down. And if we go around the front, you'll also see some of the other advantages of this, or of this process of not having to be on top of the panels. So to install the panels, usually what we're going to do is, or what we will do, is slide the panels up the roof. And that's possible due to the rail that we have. And so if we can just maybe have a look at it over here, it's a little bit similar to our insertion rail. So our insertion rail would actually have the part on top. And for that, we would be limited to the panel size. But with this, because that's not going to be the case, we just have this little part in the middle, and our panels will sit on this channel. We can push the panels up, they get held in place, and then same as the other side, we're underneath and we can hammer the clamp on and hold the panel down. Right, so there's a few different parts or different concepts for how we're going to install, taking part of what we're doing from the rooftop, but applying in a bit of a different way. So that's the Pyrack, and back over to you, Ciaran.
Okay, wonderful. That was a quick trip back to Munich. But so, as I said before, a little bit of a different topic for K2. So these aren't things that we can plan in base, or things that are a small scale, or what we see here. And it's just something that K2 is looking to get into quite a bit different. We've got a project team now who take all of this information, could be also the geotechnic report, water topics. We know a little bit more about the larger scale concerns of projects, and are offering more of a project management, I wouldn't say service, but involvement in these larger projects in comparison to the rooftop solar, which is many of the small things rather than just one sort of big project. So we'll now jump into the pitch roofs, I think, Ronny, or do we have a close-up? I think actually we have a close-up of one of the parts. Exactly. We have some pictures of the exhibition of the Pyrack you just showed in the video. Here the clamp in detail, and also the purlin in detail. And let's jump back to the other slide. You see it's available in steel, but also with aluminium rafters. 3 times portrait, 10 to 30 degree. 10 3 times portrait, it's available with 10 to 20 degrees, and for 2 times portrait from 10 to 30 degrees. But the bigger the project, the more flexible we are. So we could also produce another pitch, probably. Yeah, the great thing about this system, I think it's installable from underneath, and yeah, without any screws. So yeah, let's jump to the. Sorry, I have to go up a little bit to the pitched roof. So we jumped a little bit forward in the presentation. First thing is our single rail connector. We have a new connector without any bolts or nuts, tool free. The principle is very similar to the rail connector for the flat roof we've just presented. Yeah, Ciaran, maybe you can show it to us.
Definitely. Thank you, Ronny. So this is our new rail connector set for the single roofs, and this is how it comes. This is a product for our SingleRail 36 and SingleRail 50. Right, so we only need the one component for the two rails. And as Ronny was saying, this is just the one piece. If you remember the previous one, there was a similar shape, and then it would come with 4 T-bolts and 4 nuts. So 9 pieces in total. But this one, it just comes as the one piece. And the single rail has the single rail channel, right? And on the side, which we use for fixing with the climber or fixing with the T-bolt. And what we're going to do is utilize this channel and effectively make the inverse of it to allow it to just slide in, right? And on top, I'm not going to push it all the way because this TerraGriff will bite into it and then we won't be able to get the rail out very easily. So it is possible to remove, but for the sake of this webinar, you don't need to see me trying to do that. We could be here for quite a while. But what it does then also do is the equipotential bonding between the two components, which was also not always present with the other one. And what the good part about it is that, as we were saying before, it works with this SingleRail 36. And it also works with the SingleRail 50 as well, right? So I've just got the SingleRail 50, but yeah, and the SingleRail Lite. So the 3, I would say, main single rails which are being used can be used with this. What is also, you could sort of say, well, hang on, it is moving a little bit. However, once you have it in here with the TerraGriff and the teeth, it's stopping any movement side to side. And as soon as you put any pressure on it, as in we will have our clamps, and it's going to be on sort of one side, and then the other side you're also pushing down on it, it creates enough friction which is in the system to hold it in place very securely. And this is the same that we have with the SingleRail 3S, the SingleHook 3S Lite, which we'll be talking about a little bit as well. We're actually utilizing, I guess, some physics that mean that we don't actually need to tighten any bolts or fix it in a way that requires a torque mechanism. So just a little bit different. While I'm here, Ronny, should I just continue with the SingleRail 50?
Yeah, sure.
I think you might have just seen that as well. So this is our SingleRail 50, which is sometimes used for heavier or larger projects. What we're doing is really just completing our portfolio with the SingleRail 50 end cap and the cover as well. So instead of having requiring a black rail of 4 meters, 5 meters, really what anyone is seeing is just the exposed rail at the end. Right, our panels are going to sit here. Our black panels are going to sit like this. You're going to be seeing it from below anyway, because you're standing on the ground, looking up at your lovely solar panels, saying, "Oh, this is what a wonderful job I've done," and you will just see this end of it, and it's going to be a little more aesthetically pleasing to the homeowners. So this has been available for the 36 for a long time, and we've just kind of completed the, as I said, the portfolio for the aesthetic sides of tile roofs. So this was the rails as well. We have a few hook combinations or updates as well, which Ronny, I'll pass back over to you.
Yes. So the next point would be the SingleHook 3S Lite, which is also not a real innovation because it has already been existing for, I don't know, a year maybe. We also presented it at the last exhibition already, I believe. The SingleHook 3S Lite is like the SingleHook 3S, but a little lighter. It has less aluminium, and that's the main reason we invented it, because we figured out that in many projects, the SingleHook 3S Lite is still has some capacity. So you wouldn't need a strong hook like the SingleHook 3S. That's why we designed a weaker hook, so we can save aluminium, we can save resources, which is good for the environment, and you can, let's say, save around 5% project costs with the SingleHook 3S. When to use the SingleHook 3S Lite? Sorry, SingleHook 3S Lite. That's what I wanted to say. You can use it when you use the SingleHook 3S in base, and it is help me with the word. It has a 70% capacity. Yeah, when the SingleHook 3S has a 70% capacity, okay, then you might be able to switch to the 3S Lite. You must check it for each case, but depends on where you are. But in many cases, you would need a SingleHook 3S only on every second rafter. And when you change to the SingleHook 3S Lite, and then you need the SingleHook 3S Lite not on every second, but on every rafter, then it doesn't help you. So when you change, you shouldn't, or you should make sure that you don't need more hooks afterwards. So I think now
Oh, sorry, just on that one, Ronny. The word we were looking for was utilization. I thought
Yeah.
I thought we were going down a different path.
Thank you.
If you're in base and you see less than 70% in the utilization, this could be an option.
Yeah. So it's very hot in here in our video shooting room, and the camera just turned off because it was too warm. But I hope you can still hear me and you can still see the screen. That's the most important thing. So let's have a quick look to the SingleHook Slate. It's a product for slate roofs, obviously. So it might not be really helpful for many of you because slate is it's a material which is available only in some regions, and it's traditionally used for covering roofs in very few regions only. If you don't have experiences with slates, you better ask an expert because it's really complicated to work on a slate roof. But maybe Ciaran, you can present the two roof hooks.
Yeah, no, thanks, Ronny. So if you know the products from before the 3S, then as Ronny was saying, it's just a slightly reduction of material, which is in here. This is a little bit thinner. A different point as well is there is usually a bolt that is in here, and actually we'll show this in a second as well, but this is the This is the 3S, and so that you can see the differences there, I think, quite clearly. And as I was saying before, this idea of using friction to hold something instead of having to fix the bolt that's in here, you could argue, oh yes, this is going to move, but as soon as you put much weight onto this, on this end, the friction builds up in here, and as you're just creating a moment in the middle, it's going to hold. So the 3, if you don't know sort of the idea behind the name, there is 3 locations for where you can place the bracket in, and this is the name, hence the name, the 3S. Right. So not so much changes on concept there. So the other product that Ronny was talking about was the Slate hook. So it looks very similar to our previous Slate hook as well, but now we do have the addition of an adjustable point in here. Right. So if for whatever reason we need to raise or lower this could be to compensate for roof unevenness, we can do that now quite easily by just taking this out and then raising or lowering the system. So both of these are for our single rail because they're called SingleHook. And while I'm on it, I think I may as well just continue with the last innovation for the tile hook that we presented. And it was also not a brand new product. It was just an optimization of something that we used to, or we already do, more or less. So if you have a tile roof and you are planning a cross bracing system, potentially the insertion rail, or usually would just like the panels in landscape, usually what we would have to do is place a solid rail on the vertical. So we'd have a specific hook for our or we'd have our solid hook, and our solid rail would run vertically, and then we would place our rail module carrying rail in the other direction. However, now we can do that all with a single rail. So if you have a small portfolio or stock that you want to have on and people are asking, hey, well, I want to put my panels in landscape, you can now do it just with the single rail. So here we've put the insertion rail holder, so the cross connector T. And so, for example, this is how this could sit in theory, or we could also put the single rail on top and then do a cross bracing if for whatever reason we wanted to do that. So the product difference is really very little. There is an adapter plate and a climber which is in here, which I'll have to go the correct way, which is a theory, I guess, and a way in which we have used or clamped the single rail for many other things in the past. We are now just utilizing it on our single hook as well.
So by having invented these two options, the Slate hook and the vertical single rail on a single hook 3S, 4S, 3S Lite, and so on, I would say we have completely eliminated the necessity of using a solid rail on a tile roof. So if you still use solid rail on a tile roof, please consider switching to the single rail. It's a system which has many advantages over the solid rail, and with these two options, there is really no more need for a solid rail on a tile roof. There is still need for a solid rail, for example, on a corrugated roof or something like that, but not on a tile roof anymore.
No, and so this is also the single rail is the most common rail in Germany and the DACH region as well, where most of our business is being done. In saying all of that, if you are using the other products as well, we will still be selling them. So it is just a way to reduce your stock or the things that you need to buy if you are. I think then for our tile roofs, we're finished with the products now, Ronny. And what else do we have now?
Yeah, we still have the 4 tile, maybe.
Yeah, I can let you show that one.
So yeah, I can show. So the 4 tile is a substitution tile made of metal, and it works like this. It's for now in the first step. It is for replacing a tile on a concrete roof, a concrete roof stone or a concrete tile, and normally you would have to mill out the concrete tile a little bit in this area to be able to come out here. But when you use the K24 tile, you don't have to go as high as before with the bracket of the roof hook. So the bracket of the roof hook is further down, and it might not be necessary to mill the roof, the concrete tile on top anymore. There is a list of around 17 concrete tiles which are compatible so far with the K24 tile. For now, it's available in red and in black or dark gray, yeah. And it will also be available in blank. Yeah, and maybe the next steps might be to make it compatible also for clay tiles, and maybe in the future also with an integrated hook. But yeah, that's something we will see in the future.
Yeah. So maybe also just to clarify that last point, this does not replace the tile hook or the roof hook, but would just replace one tile and therefore make the installation easier because there's less work being done on the tiles themselves.
Yeah, less work, and also very important, I have forgotten that to mention, it might be necessary, it might be required that you use a replacement tile, because of course a concrete or clay tile, they will break under high loads when the bracket bends and then pushes onto the tile. But of course, metal tile, it will not break. And so it's especially for high snow loads, maybe.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and out of those 70 or 17 roof tiles, they're on the website, I believe, and you can access them. So if the tiles that you have on the roof are not in that list, I would say proceed with caution. They may be suitable, but they also may not. But they are focused on, again, the German tile type, I would say. So, exactly. Yeah. Okay, so from pitched roofs and tile roofs, I think that's probably about all we had.
Exactly.
But we also have quite a few products for trapezoidal roofing, I think. Is that exactly the next on the slide?
Yeah, that's the next slide. So that's the new flex adapter, which might be very interesting for some of you. It's the MultiRail High, the MultiRail 60, the MultiRail High, and the MultiRail 15. So let's have a closer look. The flex adapter is an additional item, a modification of our basic rail system, especially for metal roofs which look like tile roofs. So what's the
I would say imitation
metal. Yeah, metal tile imitation roofs made of metal. Yeah, it's two items. Ciaran, maybe you can show them to us.
Yeah, so it's effectively actually just our trapezoidal and basic rail system with some additional parts. So our basic rail system usually goes with our basic clip, and then our basic rail in the basic clip. However, due to the profile, the rounded profile, and also the uneven profile of the tile imitations, we will then need we'll put a little, I guess like a coaster, I would call it, or this gummy, rubber component, which is just rounded on the bottom, as you see, and we can put our basic clip into that. And this is just a more or less for water protection. So the strength of the system is solely dependent on the screws and the thickness of the material, but to ensure that it's watertight, we will add this part at the bottom. So our basic rail is going to sit in the same way. However, what we then need to do is work on our next problem, which is the unevenness of the tiles, and you'll see this in a bit. And what happens is with these tile imitations, the rails, and this is a very exaggerated part, sit on an angle. And what we want to do is somehow create a flat plane for our clamps and therefore our panels to sit in. And so instead of sitting sort of like so, we need to bring it back. And we do this with our flex adapter, which slides into the rail, and we can then bring it effectively back to the horizontal plane. All right, so we will need one of these per clamp, more or less. Actually, not more or less, we'll need one of these per clamp. And we've actually just got a little sample set up over to our right, Klaus, which maybe we can show to see how it looks. And just at the end is probably the focus point as well. So as the flex adapters, right, are sliding in and out of the rail, we do need to secure them in some way. And so we use a product from our our facade systems, which is just effectively a safety stopper with screws into the rail. We put one on the far end of the rail. We put one a little way down, which you might not be able to see, but you might be able to see up here with the lighting. No, I think I'm just on the wrong side. So we have one on each side here, which secures this section of the roof, and then through the clamps and the rest of the roof is the rest of the system secure, and it's not going to go back and forth. What we've also done is put one on the flex adapter as well, and this is just an installation ease. So technically you wouldn't need to place this on here. However, highly recommend it, because if you don't, ensuring that the flex adapters are in the same line can actually be quite tedious. So what the installation process is, put this flex adapter in, slide it in the right position, fix the safety stopper. Once you've put the two end clamps in, you can then just slide the panel up against them. Then they've got a hard stopper. And as you tighten it, then the clamps will pull the flex adapter into line. And from there, you have now something that's parallel or to the slope of the roof, the whole roof. And you can then go on and do that continuously down the roof. And so this will make the installation a lot easier. So that was the flex adapter, which I think we've actually done a whole webinar on as well. So if you'd like to, you can please go to the YouTube channel or wherever, and you can watch that, because we've gone through that in a lot more detail. The next product we have is also then for trapezoidal roofing, which maybe I'll pass over to you, Ronny.
Yeah. So the camera has already turned off again, I think. Yeah. The MultiRail High is mainly a solution for MultiRail, a variation of the MultiRail, which allows you to install optimizers, because optimizers often are very thick today, and that therefore you need a higher rail, which then would be the MultiRail 6T. That's the main purpose of the MultiRail 6T, just to be able to install an optimizer. And talking about optimizers, we also have a new additional item, a nice gimmick, which I ask you to present it also directly now, Ciaran. Maybe I just jump to the next rail, which is also a higher version of an existing trapezoidal solution. The MultiRail High, same as the MultiRail, but a little higher. All of them also, of course, create a better ventilation, and so better output of the modules. Also new is the MultiRail 15, which will replace the MultiRail 10. So the MultiRail 10 centimeters with 2 holes will fall out, and then the MultiRail 15 will replace it. Ciaran, can you please show them to us?
Of course, Ronnie. So we'll work backwards with the MultiRail 15, which Ronnie just ended with there, is a pretty simple concept, I think. So the MultiRail 10 is usually 10 centimeters with 2 holes. We have the 25, which is 25 centimeters with 4 holes, and this is new version with 3 holes. So we have it in the standard version, and which is here, and the corrugated version, which just has a rounded point as well. With some of the names, you might have also if you just have to follow a little bit, because they all get a little bit confused. So the MultiRail 15 is 15 centimeters long. That makes sense. We also have the MultiRail High, which coincidentally is also 15 centimeters long, but however the purpose is very different. Right? And this was the first topic that Ronnie was talking about. The MultiRail High is for situations where you would like ventilation underneath the panels, whether that be for the optimizer or just because you would like maybe some better output from your panels. You see here there are 4 holes for this one. Right? Because it is a little bit higher, you will experience more wind flow underneath, which in turn will then lead to more uplift. And so while 3 screws are suitable for the MultiRail 15, we're going to go with 4 for the MultiRail High. The other product the first product that Ronnie was talking about was the MiniRail, so the MiniRail 60, right? And so this is effectively the same product as the MiniRail, but instead of it being, I'm not quite sure how high the original MiniRail is, roughly this high, it's now 60 millimeters. So again, both of these products have come from wishes from regions where optimizers are widely used, and there is then a spacing between the bottom of the roof, and because this is a trapezoidal roof or a corrugated roof, it's usually a little bit higher. So from the bottom of the roof to the top of the panel, if you're going to put an optimizer in there, you need certain space for the ventilation, and these are usually specified by the optimizers, up to 5 centimeters sometimes. And with the products that we had before, that was not possible. But with between the MultiRail High and the MiniRail 60, we can achieve those points. The other topic Ronnie was talking about is our new clip for our optimizer. So it's the OmniClip, and maybe you can just see it here, Klaus. It's effectively a little crocodile clip, I would call it, where it snaps down and these little teeth pop out, right, and hold it in place into the bottom. So you can put it, we have an optimizer here, we can put it over the top, it clips in, and using on the bottom, fortunately that's not as clear as I would like, you have 2 legs which are on opposite corners, and this allows for a application process which is very similar to our MK2, right, where we put it into the rail and it clips and it holds. So you can the idea is obviously not to slide it out, but it's this process of clipping in and then the panels or the optimizers just being held there. So combination of trapezoidal and products for optimizers, we're just showing here. It's not just suitable for the trapezoidal products, but any K2 channel, you can install this product on that as well. Yeah, so flat roofs then, Ronnie, I think I'll pass back over to you for the next part.
The next part would be
next part is our next part of our next part back to Munich. So I'll have to grab a different microphone this time and I think head back to Munich now. Thanks, Ciaran. I'm back again at the expo, but this time with the K2 Carport V. Right? And so we are offering a few new products and also a new way to design things here, really expanding the K2 portfolio. So to start off, we have some new rails, and these are the Carport rails. And the idea with this is going to be a water-resistant system. There's always going to be a small chance of some water getting through, so there's no guarantees of watertight. However, there's a couple of new features that we'll talk about a bit later on of how that works. As I said, we can offer the rails themselves on a pre-existing structure. So if you're wanting to bring your own structure, we can just fix to that. We could also bring sort of the purlin parts of it, and depending on the distance between the structure that you might have, we can effectively give you the statics for it up to the connection, right, this bolt here, or we can also offer the system as a full packet where we're doing the statics, we're doing the design, we're going to be involved with a bit more of the project management stuff, which is a bit new for K2 in comparison to our rooftop stuff. And if we're going to use one like this, so the Carport V, with the loads that we've been working with in Germany already, we're getting a distance of about 10 meters between the steel structures here, and so that's enough for 4 cars, generally speaking. Having a look at the water channel in a little bit more. So we've done some water tests, and we might be able to show a video of that later as well. But the water test that we've done, so most of the water is actually going to run down over the panels. But if there is any that kind of gets through, we've got a little channel here, or a separator that has a channel underneath, and any of water will get in here and then run along back towards the rail. And then in the rail itself, there is another channel, and then this is where the water is going to run down into the guttering system, which is just easy to install on the end. There's a nice little part, and I'm sure we'll have some products we can look at. So similar to the Pyrac that we showed as well, we can install these from underneath, right? And so these are a little bit different. These ones we're not whacking on. There's a little screw in here, and this will be then again a bit of a different layout or a different idea behind it. Obviously, it's not going to be possible for all panels. So some panel manufacturers have already given a way of doing this, but you'll have to talk to and we can also be part of that. Talk to the module manufacturer, ensure that the clamping in this way is possible. What's also important with this carport setup, and this will be different in different countries, is that the over your head glass capability. There's probably in different countries there are different regulations, but if you think about it like safety glass, a car windscreen cannot fracture and be sharp, right? It has to have that what you'd call like the splitting effect, but it doesn't break into a shard. And if you have panels over your head in many countries, you need to have something similar as well. So in different places, you might also just be aware that the panels themselves need a certain certification to be used for this, because not everything's going to be there. We're going to have a look at the ground foundation as well a little bit here, because this is a pretty good representation. So what we saw before was all of the steel, but we can also offer part of the ground formation. And what you see here is one of 4. You'll usually have 4 of these screws that'll go in. This is going to, a little bit like a ground screw, this will screw into the earth. We then are connecting, and this is then connecting to I-beams, which are, you have 1/4 of it, as I said before. So you have this I-beam will extend further out, and then you'll have this I-beam extending further out on both sides. And this creates like a little cube or structure, which we can then connect the base plate of the and Fabi, maybe could we just look at the base plate of the structure and the bolts there. So all of it collectively can be offered, or depending on the situation that you have, maybe you're only wanting part of it, that's in the rails and the purlins, I guess, or the whole thing. But the easiest way to do that is also applying through the thing on the website, which Ciaran, I'm sure you'll be able to show to the guys watching the webinar. Back to you in the studio. So the video that we were talking about in the video was just a little rendered part that our marketing team put together last week, just to highlight how this water channel and process works. So Klaus, could we just see that video now, please? Yeah, so here we're kind of highlighting sort of this point. And as I said before, most of the water will actually go over the top of the panels in a high downpour, like a high water load situation. If there's a little bit of drizzle, yes, you're going to have this slow sort of seeping of water through into the channel that we're seeing here. Right, and then as you see, it's going to run out. So most of it will go across the panel into the main gutter structure, and anything that doesn't gets caught between the panels and runs down the rail. So that was part of that. So that was more or less all of the physical products that we wanted to show today. There's one more part, which is our AlphaClip, which is our new cable management point. We'll shortly go over some digital products as well, but I just wanted to show this, and I have to tell you, I've been umming and ahhing about the best way to show it because this is representing a panel, and it's very easy to hold this from underneath. So obviously you can't actually hold a panel underneath. You're going to be sitting on top of the panel, but our clip is just going to coming from above, cut under and clip in. And so our cables can then be held running in sort of the length of the panel or the width of the panel, depending on where you've applied it. And then there's also, however, this part at the bottom, which can also hold cables running the other direction. So this is a slowly phase out the zip tie product that we have, and will be our new solution for cable management for just so for the cables from the panel to the next panel sort of thing. It's not a cable tray. It's not a sort of cable ladder, but for those ones that are directly underneath the panel and need to be held up off the roof. Yeah.
So. And the big advantage maybe is that I don't know, for the last couple of years, the module manufacturer got rid of the little seam on the short side of the module. So we only had this seam on the long side of the module. And that meant that many cable solutions, cable management solutions, not only from K2, but also from other, some of all of our competitors, as far as I know, it was not possible to use the cable management solutions on the short side of the module. And this clip, you can use it on the long side and also on the short side of the module, where we don't have this seam anymore. This is, I think, the big advantage of this clip. Okay, so maybe I just continue with the last point. Today, we are still almost all participants. Everyone is still here. Thank you for that. We know we have already exceeded the time for about 10 minutes. So the last point is the digital innovations. I want to only pick one of these points here, which is maybe the most important one. My K2 projects, the new portal for ground-mounted and carport projects. As you might know, it is not possible to plan, carport and ground-mounted in K2 base. And there is a function in My K2. I hope you all use My K2 when you are on the starting page or when you are on our website. Most of you might just use K2 base and directly go to the planning software, but you also can use My K2 login to reach our digital solution dashboard. And here you have the My K2 projects link, or you can also go directly from the K2 base dashboard and use this link to the carport ground mount. It's the same link. So I have to log in. I fell out. And then you land here. This is the dashboard where you see all your projects you've already created, or you can create a new project, for example, a carport project. And then you just fill in the data on these 5 pages. And and then our project team will calculate the project for you. Yeah, I think that's it. I don't know. Maybe there are some questions so far. I can't see any questions in the Q&A panel. But of course, you are welcome to ask questions.
Yeah, I think that usually means, Ronny, we have done a very good job of informing people or confusing them. So we're hoping that we have informed you today, because if you didn't get the chance to come to Intersolar, it was a bit of a event. You can see still some of my temporary tattoos, which are not as temporary as I thought they would be, but we had a great time, and we're presenting all of the products that we had today, and wanted to share that with some people who maybe did not get the opportunity to attend. We don't have any more questions that have popped up, so I think there's one.
There is one in the chat instead of the Q&A panel. Is it possible to install a carport on a 5-degree slope? I think not. I think only 10 degrees is possible. But as Ciaran explained, it's possible to use our purlin on an existing structure. So this is possible.
Yeah, and if you have a sloped ground, that's a bit of a different story as well, because you may be facing issues with the local government in terms of what a car spot can maintain. Like, there are certain levels of public land where if you're going to put a carport, it has to be a certain level of flatness, I guess. So just depending on which way that question was in terms of the PV panels or the ground slope.
Okay.
Check your local conditions, and really if the project's big enough, I'm sure we can do a 5-degree one if it's very big. But email the guys or fill out the form that Ronny just showed you, and the project team that's looking after that will be able to provide you with all of the project-specific information. Thank you, everyone, then, for joining today. We didn't see any other questions coming in, so an hour and a bit is a lot for your Wednesday afternoon, and we appreciate that you were there. If you are interested in more K2 webinars, we have one coming up in 2 weeks or 3 weeks, either the 20th or 21st, where we'll be going through one of our or some of our more bespoke solutions. So a colleague of ours in the technical sales department was working on a project, exposed facade, which was quite interesting, and we would like to present it to you and who anyone would join, because it is something potentially you might be able to use, or at least get inspiration from, and shows a little bit of the K2, I would say, know-how.
I think it was the facade of a parking building, right?
Yeah, an open parking lot where there was a few technical things that lots of places have parking lots, lots of places are looking to utilize space. So if you are interested, please do sign up. If not, we hope to see you sometime again in the future. Ronny, thank you for your second webinar today. There's a lot of work in the hot webinar room. We have Klaus behind the camera. He makes the magic happen. And you for joining. So until next time, from my side, thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a nice afternoon. See you next time. Bye.
Bye.